We've just come to the end of Anti-Bullying Week, and with 25,000 children using Childline's counselling sessions last year to talk about bullying, it clearly is still a problem for the UK. This problem appears to go beyond playground trauma, with research published this week showing that bullied children are more likely to be overweight at age 18. The study's lead author, Jessie Baldwin, explained to me what they did.
We tested whether childhood bullying victimisation was associated with an increased risk of being overweight in young adulthood. So to do this, we looked at a sample of participants in the e-risk longitudinal twin study, which is a cohort of over 2,000 twins born in 1994 and 1995 in England and Wales, and followed up every 3 to 4 years until the age of 18. So we measured childhood bullying victimisation when the twins were aged 7, 10 and 12 through interviews with children and their parents. And then when they were aged 18, we assessed their body mass index and their waist-hip ratio.
Sorry, what do you mean by body mass index?
So it's their height divided by their weight squared.
And so an obese person would have a higher BMI than an underweight person?
Yeah, so we defined overweight individuals as those with a BMI in the top 15% according to their age and sex. We found that chronically bullied individuals were 1.7 times more likely to be overweight at age 18.
Chronic bullying, is what?
So these children were children who were bullied in both primary school and in early secondary school. Chronically bullied children were more likely to be overweight at age 18, regardless of a number of other risk factors, such as their genetic liability, if they had a low socioeconomic status, as well as other factors.
You mentioned genetics. Is this because you had a twin study you could control for that?
Yeah, so because we had a sample of twins, we were able to estimate a child's genetic liability to being overweight by looking at whether their co-twin was overweight at age 18.
Do you think this can help in any way inform how we tackle things like obesity? Should we be looking at patients' childhoods?
In our study, we can't definitively claim that being bullied caused people to become overweight because we can't infer causality from an observational design like the e-risk study. However, our findings were suggestive of a causal relationship for a number of reasons. Firstly, because we found that children who were bullied were more likely to be overweight at age 18, regardless of a number of other risk factors for being overweight.
It's not the case that children were overweight when the bullying started, is it?
No, and that's another thing that we looked at that helps us to infer that this relationship may be causal. So what we found was that bullied children were not more likely to be overweight at the time of bullying. If this association is causal, then it might suggest that interventions that could prevent bullying may be able to reduce some cases of overweight in the population.
Is there any reason that early life stress might lead to weight gain?
So there are a number of potential biological and social mechanisms that we can speculate on. With regard to the biological mechanisms, it's possible that bullied children may eat more than non-bullied children. And this might be because they have impaired inhibitory control over eating. This could be linked to a smaller prefrontal cortex, which is a brain structure involved in regulation and inhibitory control. And children exposed to early life stresses like maltreatment have been shown to have a smaller prefrontal cortex. With regard to the social mechanisms, it's possible that bullied children are less likely to take part in group sport activities for fear that they might be bullied more in those kinds of situations. So that might result in them exercising less and therefore being more likely to gain weight.
And that was Jessie Baldwin from King's College London, and the paper was published in Psychosomatic Medicine.